Okay, we're trying this again. I was just live with Bailey Van Tassel. We were having a beautiful conversation about living in tune with the seasons and sadly just got disconnected. So I'm going to wait for Bailey to join me again and here she is, and we will.
Let's see. Here she comes. Here she comes. Come back to me, Bailey. Come back. We'll do a quick hair fix. Hey!
I don't know what
I
happened.
know the wolf moon got upset
The
with
wolf
us or
moon.
something.
I
So just to recap, Bailey Van Tassel is here today. We're celebrating the launch of her book and talking about living in tune with the seasons. Bailey wrote this gorgeous book about gardening and living alongside your garden and alongside the seasons. And I was asking Bailey how, after being disconnected to the seasons, how do you reconnect? If a 2025 goal is to live more in tune with the seasons, live more seasonally, how do you reconnect? How do you reconnect to the seasons? You were talking about the wolf
Yeah,
moon,
yeah.
so maybe take it from there.
Okay, so during the wolf moon, the wolves howl. It's easiest to hear because there's no leaves on the tree. And so people can hear
Mm.
them. And there was a rumor that it was because the wolves were hungry because it's winter, but they're not. They're actually calling to their pack and they're reconvening and they're staying close for winter. And I feel like that is something I've noticed even here in Tennessee, where it's like now is the time to be like going to your neighbors, taking baked goods, being in community, sharing the abundance that you've stored up from harvest. And alongside that, it's also for me, I love where it's like I'm always looking for ways to bring the outside in. And it's two part. One is it's getting me outside, and it's also like shifting the energy of your home to align with nature. So, in the fall, it's like bringing all of the beautiful fall leaves inside and decorating with branches and going out and foraging for those. And it's just going out and experiencing what the seasons have to offer and really leaning into that. So, like winter, it's leaning into being cozy by the fire and lighting candles and being with your neighbors and baking bread together. In the summer, it's like going out, going to the beach together, or going to the ocean, or, in the spring, it's like leaning into sowing the seeds. I really felt like it was kind of like, okay, what is being asked of me in terms of like interfacing with nature right now? And how can I make that a priority over just trying to kind of like push my own agenda?
Mm, that's beautiful. And you mentioned too with with the wolf moon. Let me tell you, that Farmer's Almanac, what an amazing resource.
It's so good.
Everybody thinks it's like their grandma's Farmer's Almanac, but you get that thing for like a couple dollars at at Publix at your grocery store. Um, just learning the lore of every moon. Like every full moon has a name and a
Yes.
historic name that indigenous people named. And there was a reason for all of that before we had calendars, before we had New Year's resolutions, before we had school, right? Because the school calendar has also kind of thrown us off. So
Yeah.
it's so interesting just to like, a practice that I do is just mark out the full moon and the new moon on every month of my calendar just to start getting in sync with that, and then also understanding when is the solstice, when is the equinox. So you have some solstice and equinox rituals in your book as well.
I do, yeah. And I just did this with my kids where we celebrated the winter solstice just to help reframe and talk about, what the solstices and the equinoxes mean, within us as people. But something I wanted to share too, I just learned is that Julius Caesar actually changed the calendars, and typically New Year's was during spring, which makes the most sense
So much sense.
because that's when like rebirth is happening and everything's
Yeah.
starting all over again. So that's like a whole nother story for another day. But yeah, I do like to give ideas for just ways that we can celebrate because it all intertwines. Like the healthiest way we can nourish our bodies is by eating seasonally, eating what's actually available. The equinoxes and the solstices are always marked by big feasts that celebrate what's in season.
Mm.
And that will be like at its peak during the equinox, and then it will start to wane as you're like heading into the next season. And then you get like another form of abundance, for the next season. And I think just really being aware of that and allowing ourselves to lean into that is we're biologically designed that way. So like when you eat broccoli in the summer when it's out of season, it's actually lacking like 40% of the nutrients that are good for you,
Yeah.
which is why it's tricky. You're like buying broccoli at the grocery store, but it's actually not doing that much for you
Mm-hmm.
as when you're, growing your broccoli and harvesting it, in spring, because it's more of a cool season crop depending on where you live. So just all of these things, these little tweaks that you can make are actually designed to make you healthier and increase your quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
It's those little changes.
Yeah, I loved in your book you even talked about like smells and sounds. Like you play certain music in the summer versus other music in the fall. That's something too, because I'm looking at this now through the lens of living in Florida, where it's just hot, right? Like it's sunny every day, which is beautiful and amazing. But how do I ritualize those
Mm,
seasons when I can't really go out and get the fall
yeah,
branches and the fall foliage? I'm lucky I do have a deciduous tree on my property, but like it's the only one on my block.
a
So
singular
um
deciduous tree.
a singular deciduous tree. Everything else is coconuts. So, can you speak a little bit to like how you very cleverly kind of engage all of your senses?
Yeah,
It's not necessarily just a visual experience.
for sure. And I feel like it is like it's so funny. I'm always trying to make gardening like a psychological experience, but it's really an indication to us as a whole, like, to be present in what we're present in. So obviously our sensory system smells are so familiar. So that's why like a noble fir candle at Christmas just
Yes.
gets you in the Christmas mood. It's like
Yes.
tying back to all the Christmas memories that you've ever had. And in the summer, maybe you're having like rose scented candles or something, and you're playing the Beach Boys because you want to get into like the summer laid back vibe. But all of these things are like positive reward systems for our sensory, for our like entire internal, systems that we have. And it's like a somatic experience to like allow yourself to shift gears and be in that mode. So yeah, I like to really sort of, even my kids know, like we used to have like a playlist I would put on like when we're going to the beach when I lived in Southern California. And so the second that went on in the car, they're like in beach mode. And I feel
Mm.
like it just helps us transition as people and also tap into the traditions that we love and sort of the mindset that we need. And it's the same thing when I do, for autumn or for spring. It's just helping allow ourselves to shift and change. And I think that as humans, we have such a hard time with change, mainly because we get overly attached to
Yeah.
life. And so we have to sort of tell our bodies what to do to help our mind catch up.
Yeah, totally. So as we're in the throes of winter, right? So we're still in winter, guys. Spring isn't here yet. What would be some practices and recommendations of stuff to grow or experiences to cultivate for yourself? Like what does winter mean for you in terms of living seasonally?
Yeah. I feel like winter is like where hope begins. Right now is bare root season. So you are planting things with the absolute hope that they will awake from dormancy in the spring, set really strong roots, and begin to bloom. So this is when your bare root roses are going in, your bare root fruit trees are going in, your like hedges, your shrubs. You're really building a foundation for your space in the winter,
Mm,
which I think is beautiful because it's
beautiful.
a restful time. So it's
Yeah.
very contemplative, it's very thoughtful. You're really putting the bones in place in winter. So that in spring, when you're busy dealing with like annuals and your veggies and like sort of the chaos, like the frenetic spring energy,
Hmm.
you've got these like really solid multi-year, multi-generational plants actually setting their roots in the ground. So that's what winter is doing. Winter is like really giving you a backbone and a foundation for the rest of the garden to get going. And this is a really good time to think too about how do I want to use my space and how can I set it up to maximize the seasons when we have them. If you
Hmm.
have a greenhouse or you're have an indoor setup, you can start some seeds inside now, really cheat your seasons a little bit. It's a good time to sort of help your soil rest but stay active with mulching. It's kind of a tinker season. So that's what winter is to me, but it is still getting outside as much as you possibly can so that you can lean into spring as we ramp up in that sense.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that idea of having it be the foundation, the backbone. And also such a time of reflection. It's the time that you're like, okay, what did work in the garden this year? What are we keeping? What are we changing? What did we grow that we liked? What did we grow that we didn't like? Throw out the seeds or get new seeds. You know, everybody's looking through their seed
Yes.
catalogs. Um, that's so beautiful. So your beautiful book, number one, I have to ask you, how did you shoot this book? It's filled with photos. Did you do one large photo shoot? Did you shoot throughout one full season of growing? Like, how did you, because you go through the different seasons and you really can see kind of lots of different aspects of you. So where did the photos come from your book?
Yes. So I've worked with the same photographer for years to
Okay.
help me with like my blog and my social media. Her name's Cami, and she's credited in the book. She's a fantastic, she travels, she photographs weddings. She's the most incredible human being. And we did two huge photo shoots. Luckily, because I lived in Southern California, I could grow like the full range of cool and warm season
Mm,
crops in 2 seasons. So I didn't need
got
a
it.
full calendar year.
Okay.
I needed like 6 to 9 months, it took me about 6 months to write the book. So yeah, we just did ginormous photo shoots, and it was just, I had to actually print out all of these contact sheets that had like a dozen pictures on a page to like over and over and over figure out like what we wanted to keep. I A couple things I was so hesitant about was, one, having myself on the cover, because I'm a brand new gardener. I'm not Joanna Gaines. Like, I don't know how many people are going to want to read a book that has some random girl on the cover, but also like my kids are in a lot of the pictures inside to help you understand, like bringing kids, you give the family vibe. And we were like, should we do it? Should we not? But it's very much what the book is about. So we went for it. But yeah, those two photo shoots were huge. And then we just shot like a ton of what you would consider B-roll, like a ton of just like wide shot of the garden, tight shot of the garden. I wanted every principle I was explaining in the book in terms of like soil and building trellises
Mm-hmm.
to be photographed. So we kind of did a lot of that. Some of my very favorite humans own a nursery down the street from where I used to live in California. And I was down at the nursery buying tons of plants and soil amendments and redwood stakes and like all the things. So a little bit of it was like pushed around the natural season of the garden so we could get like the photos we
Mm-hmm.
needed. But um it's so funny. I always envisioned like you're writing a book, you're gonna have like full hair and makeup and like wardrobe and like really go big. And there was none of that. Like it was
Yeah,
literally just like
no.
me in my normal clothes, like doing my normal gardening, which I think is the most helpful.
That's
Um,
what the book's about,
which is the
right?
book.
It's not about a glam night out.
Right.
It's about getting in your garden every day,
Right.
you know?
That's
And
right.
realistically, how many of us are like in our garden in our pajamas, like with last night's mascara still on our
For,
face, you know?
for sure.
So, you know, the more realistic, but it's elevated. I would say it's realistic, but extremely elevated. You look beautiful. Your kids look
Thank you.
amazing. So walk us through, you know, it's a gardening book, but there's so much more to it. You have this whole chapter on living seasonally before you even go into planning, executing your garden. And then you have, you know, your final chapters, which is all about sharing your garden harvest, which warmed my heart so much. So, what's your biggest desire and intention with the launch of this book? Like, what's the impact you hope to leave? And obviously, where can people find it?
Thank you. I really felt like the garden is something to be shared. And we've gained so much joy and connection from like really leaning into being like the family that gardens,
Oh,
especially somewhere that
yeah.
where it's not culturally like a big thing. And so I feel like anyone that feels really called to garden, I hope has the confidence to also share it and sort of spread the love and introduce people to the taste of homegrown veggies and feel like worthy of sharing their journey wherever they're at. And it's just a really beautiful way, I think, to connect like soul to soul with someone. And anytime, I mean, one of my favorite things about the garden is like no matter where I go, I want to show up with something just to honor, like, you
Yeah.
know, even if it's going to a neighbor's house. And it's like even just a little parcel of fresh cut lavender or, you know, some arugula with a little bow tied around it. It's just like honoring our neighbor and our friendships and our relationships nowadays is so glazed over.
Yes.
That's so like old fashioned.
Yes.
And I really wanted to inspire people to think about that and about like owning that and loving that and bringing some of those sort of older, more generational principles back in the fold. When vegetable gardening was last at its peak, before people sort of kind of got into it because of the pandemic, was like victory gardens, where it was sort of mandated by the government for people to be gardening. And people aligned over that and they came together over it. And then sort of the convenience culture set in after that, right? When we kind of post war. And so I feel like we're all coming back to that now. And I really, my hope, honestly, I was like, it gets really overwhelming because you want to write a book that's a bestseller. Like if you're a writer, that's sort of like, it's like if anyone's competing in anything, you want to win, right? And when you write a book, you think, oh, I want to be a bestseller. And I was like, I actually just really want to write something that I'm proud of, that's supremely useful and inspiring, that like my kids could look at after I'm gone and feel a sense of connectedness to.
Yeah.
And so that is really what drove me, where I was like, this is something that I hope like really blesses people and just gives them joy and also actual skills, not just to garden, but to like intuitively build confidence around growing their own food. Because I think that's the direction that we're going in. I think that's what's actually going to help people. I'm not going to indoctrinate you with like, this is how to sow a seed perfectly. No, like you'll figure it out, but like these are the basic principles. And I want you to walk away and feel like that helped me be better. And I got a hug from this woman, Bailey, who loves to garden. Like that's kind of the vibe I wanted.
It's totally a hug. I got a hug when I read it. And I even love, like, in the beginning of the book, you write a note that's like, if you're in the thick of it, just start. Just start your garden. Um, did I freeze? Oh no, I'm here. But you had this note, if you're in the thick of it, just start. Like start now. Even if you're doing one herb, just like get started, because this really is a lifelong hobby if you allow it. And don't be intimidated about like getting don't try and be intimidated by the photos that you have in your book. You have this epic arch and raised beds. Like you have the dream garden that we all want, but your first year out, you're not starting with that dream garden. You're
For sure.
starting with some probably leggy lettuce and maybe a little tomato,
For sure.
and then just keep working
For,
towards it.
for sure. And I really felt like there was a time when I was like, gardening's for grandmas. Like I one day
Yeah,
when I'm retired, I'm
I
going to learn how
will
to
have a
garden.
garden.
And it's like, no, like the time
No.
is now. Like the
Yeah.
lessons, the joy, the self-reliance, the confidence, the nutrition, like it's all there now. And I just think getting back to that is so crucial. So yeah, I really wanted, because I felt like, I mean, I started gardening when I had an 8-month-old, and I've had, two other kids since then. I've had miscarriages. I've had family members die. I've started businesses. I've moved across the country. I've done all these things. And it's like, when you I wanted to make something bigger than myself really be the cornerstone, and it did just that. It really
Yeah.
realigned me, it grounded me, it gave me and all of us something to really lean into, that I feel like just brought us back, and continues to do so. So yeah, I did really want to put a note in there too that was a little bit like, you got this, like we can do this.
Yeah, we can do this. Yeah, you just reminded me, like, connecting yourself to something bigger. I had some lettuce that I planted that bolted and it's about to bloom. And I was like, I could take that bolted lettuce out of my raised bed and plant something else, or I could just leave it for the pollinators. Like the pollinators might
For
want
sure.
those pretty little yellow flowers. Like
For
you
sure.
really do, it opens your mind in a different way, far beyond yourself. When you move through life, you can get really not closed-minded, but like you can only see so far in front of you. So you've written such a beautiful book.
Thank
I
you.
can't recommend it enough. It's beautiful to comb through. I was not expecting so many photos and the layout. Like it was so beautiful to comb through, and also really rich in information and ideas, particularly if you have kids. I think this is probably the coolest gardening with kids book like I've ever read.
Yeah.
So where can people find it? What's the name? Is it on your website?
Yes.
Like, tell us where
Yes,
to go get
so
it.
I have a copy right here. It's called Kitchen Garden Living, and you can find it on my website at baileyvantassel.com. Like there are links to buy it, but you can buy it off Barnes and Noble. Amazon has it. Amazon's going to get it to you the fastest.
Yeah.
Tons of indie bookstores. Barnes and Noble in store, they're starting to trickle in. Copperfield's Books has them. Their Powell's Books has them. So most places where books are sold have them, and if your local bookstore doesn't have it, you can request it and they can get it. But yeah, Amazon will also just deliver it to your doorstep
Yeah.
quickly. But yeah, you can find me here on Instagram. This is where I play the most, and then at
Yes.
baileyvantassel.com is always a good
I'm a
resource.
follower. I enjoy your Instagram content.
Thank
So yes,
thank
go
you.
give Bailey a follow. And yeah, well, congratulations, author to
Thank
author. You
you.
made it.
Yes,
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you.
Pub day is always very exciting and also very surreal. Like this first week is just you're just like, wait, what?
Yes. And I'm
I
so
read a
glad we
book.
did this. Thank you for having me. Actually, like helps me feel it,
Yes.
you know? And you're a fantastic interviewer. I've talked to some people these past couple days and I was like, oh, so you deserve like a
Thank
radio
you.
show, girlfriend.
Oh, well, we'll have to have you on my podcast eventually and to talk about living seasonally. But yeah, this was such a fun way to champion the book and make a new plant friend. I'm a houseplant girly, so
Yes.
it's always nice to make another outdoor gardening plant
Yes.
friend, especially warm weather.
Yes. 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 I know. I love it. Oh, thank you so
You
much.
too. I hope you celebrate today.
Thank
All
you.
right. Bye.